Alright, so I know a lot of people on YouTube will try to sell you this vision that you're going to be able to make a ton of money and you're going to have really great success just by starting a YouTube channel. But I wanted to make this video to show you guys the truth and the reality about this job. And believe me when I tell you that if you want to be successful on here, you have to treat this like a job. It's not going to always be, fun and interesting, though it is. And if you're a creative person like I am, you're going to absolutely love it. It is something that you have to work at. So just be aware of that before we get started. In this video, I'm going to be pretty vulnerable here with how much I actually have made from YouTube over 1 year and what you can expect out of this venture if you decide that you want to make videos for yourself. Sorry, that was a helicopter. But anyway, I'll also give you guys a little bit of advice on where your money would be best spent to grow as a cinematographer. And I'll also be leaving timestamps so that way you guys can jump around to whatever you find most interesting. And of course, everything that I discuss here, as always, will be linked down below. So if you do want to buy anything, please use the affiliate links in my description, since it will help to support the channel and it's not going to cost you anything additional. But with that being said, this is Jack of Many Trades. And I've been doing YouTube for a little bit over a year now, and at this point I have 764 wonderful subscribers. Honestly, I'm so thankful that each and every one of you guys have chosen to subscribe to this channel and to be a part of this journey with me. I think that there's a number of things that are really misrepresented by many YouTubers regarding how you should go about starting a channel and what kinds of things are actually going to be the most relevant for you to invest in. I think that when you're just getting started, it's absolutely fine to start off with the smartphone that you already have. In particular, if you are one of those people who has a brand new iPhone 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, those cameras are absolutely incredible. And for the price and features that you get, I think that you really can't go wrong. In the past, I really wouldn't necessarily have recommended starting out with a phone as much as I do now, since phones didn't really offer a true log shooting profile. But with the new iPhones, you can now shoot in ProRes log, which really helps you guys out to create a look that you're satisfied with. And in the future, when you expand into a mirrorless system, or if you go on full tilt and you get like a red or something like that, you'll be able to definitely cut in footage from your iPhone to match the colors of your new camera way easier than you could have in the past. Now, obviously, the new iPhone, though it is great, it's not going to stand up to something like a red, but you don't expect it to. I mean, a red costs like, what, $20,000 or something like that, and an iPhone costs about $1,000. So, it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison, but I think you'll get really great results out of it, and I think you'll be pretty happy if you do choose to start off with an iPhone, especially one of the new ones. Like I said, this one is the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and this is what I started my YouTube channel with. When I was starting out, I actually lacked a really huge thing in my cinematography, and that is going to be the first thing that I'm going to talk about here, which is lighting. A lot of YouTubers talk about cameras and they'll get millions of views on camera reviews telling people to look and people who are looking to really get started here, they often assume that the camera is what's making the video look the way that it does, and in some cases that's going to be true. You obviously do need a camera to be able to share your scenes with the world. But what happens when we turn off all the lights in my scene? And so, as you can see, now that we have all of the lights off, we are currently filming on a $6,000 camera setup, and you can't really even see me. So, although it may sound boring, one of the most important things that you need to get before investing into a camera setup is good lighting. So what we're going to do right now is turn on all of the lights one by one. So first I'm going to start off with the accent lights behind me. So these are a pair of GODOX TL30s. You can get these in a set. Again, links to everything down below in the description. These are great lights. They're accent lights though. If you want to use these as key lights, you're not really going to have a great time. But let's just keep building the setup. So I also had a practical back here. So there's that. We have that nice lamp light back there, kind of giving us a little bit of practical moodiness. It's warmer more towards the 3200 Kelvin tungsten side. Then we're going to turn on our backlight. So this is a Neewer 660 RGB Pro. This is set to sort of an orange tint, and I have the barn doors closed off pretty well here, so I'm trying to throw light back into the background a little bit to give a little bit of interest there. And it's also orange, so it's kind of matching some of these warmer tones over here. And to light myself, we're going to turn on the Neewer 660 RGB that I have right over here with the softbox on it. And so now you can see me again. So this is, of course, a really good example of why lighting is so important. Before, you couldn't see me, and if you can't see yourself in a video, you're gonna have a bad time. It's not gonna be good, and people are going to turn off. So that is something that's extremely important for you guys to be aware of. And this is something that I really didn't think about as much as I should have when I started. And it's really something that I wish that I had. I'm not entirely happy with my current lighting setup, to be completely honest with you. I'd really rather have a setup with a couple of COB lights, one with a softbox and another one with a spotlight, to add a little bit of interest to my scenes, since having a really harsh spotlight, you can project like a window screen, or you can project just some nice cuts to give some interest in the background as kind of like an abstract thing. With these 660 RGB lights though, you're not really able to do any of that. And these are only 50-watt fixtures, so that's really only going to be a good thing if you're working in a situation like this where you have full control over your lighting and you're not trying to really fight anything. But if you are going to be thinking about planning on using these outside to overpower sunlight or throw light very far, these are things that these fixtures cannot do, and that more versatile fixtures like the Amaran 150C or 300C would be a lot better positioned to do. Now, I know I got on a bit of a tangent here, but lighting is so important, and it's definitely something that you don't want to cheap out on. Another incredibly important thing that I want to note is that if you do want to get specialty lights, only purchase them when you have all of your other lighting on lock, okay? These lights back here, these tube lights, are great. They look nice in videos. They're pretty fun if you want to use on like photo shoots or something like that for long exposure, but they are specialty lights. Also, things like light mats, like the Amaran F22, those are also specialty lights. And without having a good foundation of lighting first, these accent lights really don't help you out too much. They look cool in scenes, but they're typically horrible as key lights. And if you really want to get nice cinematic lighting, like I have here, you're definitely going to want to invest in something that's a little bit larger. The Neewer 660 RGB Pro light panels are kind of nice. They come with the soft boxes for each of them. You also get a nice carrying bag, you get a couple of light stands, you get a pair of the lights. So it's overall a pretty decent option, but it is kind of expensive at like right around 400 bucks. And so I think that you might actually want to just spend a little bit more money and get an actual set of COB lights, since those are going to be a lot more versatile. They have the Bowens mount, so you can get parabolic softboxes, you can get lanterns, you can get spotlights, barn doors, whatever you want, you can get it, and it's really fast and easy to set up. It's sort of like if you get a mirrorless camera that has a standard bayonet mount, you can use different lenses. Same type of thing with lights. Unfortunately, these like lighting panels and stuff like that, they're not going to be able to do that, but at least they do provide enough of a soft light where you can get a pleasing image. Like I said, if you're using lights like this, you're not really going to be able to achieve that as easily. But moving on to audio. Audio is another thing that is extraordinarily important for you guys to pay attention to, and again, it's something that a lot of people overlook. And I really don't know why you would necessarily overlook audio, because it's the main thing that's allowing me to communicate to you and would allow you to communicate with your audience. So without audio, you're going to have a pretty bad time. And so for me, I would say that this is one of, again, like lighting, the main things that you want to pay attention to. If you have really terrible audio, like this right now, I just put a super aggressive high pass filter on where we're cutting out tons of low end. I sound extremely tinny and horrible, and you wouldn't want to listen to this for a really long time. Also, if I just cut out all of the high end and use a really aggressive low pass filter, now I just sound super boomy and it's really not pleasant. Now, unfortunately, this room is not sound treated. I'm still a PhD candidate. I'm still working here at Stony Brook University, and I still live in a pretty crappy apartment, which is not necessarily the most ideal place to make videos in. I have a refrigerator right across the room from me that makes a little bit of humming noise, and it's not entirely possible to have this room perfectly quiet. Additionally, I also don't have any soundproofing in here, so there's going to be a little bit of echo and other things like that. Now, I do try to cut down on that using plugins inside of DaVinci Resolve to kind of manipulate it in such a way that my voice comes through clear. But even with that, it's not going to be exactly perfect. So definitely think about those types of things when you're trying to plan your YouTube setup and plan your videos out. Make sure that you've got your audio on lock, is basically what I'm trying to say here. And that brings me to my typical setup that I use. So right now I'm using the Zoom F3 field recorder with the Sony ECM-XM1 shotgun mic on a small mic stand boomed right overhead. And the reason why I typically use this overhead shotgun mic is that it pretty effectively cancels out some of the noise coming from around the microphone, behind the mic, and it picks up pretty clean audio from directly in front of it. So for my situation, this mic is fantastic. Now, another mic that I use a lot, especially when I'm out in the field or when I'm doing some sort of professional client work, is of course going to be the DJI mic set. So this is a wireless mic set that has, of course, the center receiver, which is a nice touchscreen interface, and then you also get two transmitters here on the left and right. These transmitters have built-in microphones, which sound pretty good. They're not going to blow you away, but they do sound pretty nice. They also come with some windscreens and other things like that, that if you're working outside can help to cut down on wind noise. The one drawback of them, of course, is that they are fairly large, so that's why they have these TRS cable jacks in the top, so you can use lavaliers from other companies. I use the Rode Lavalier Go microphones, so these are just some small lav mics that you can plug into the top of your DJI mic system, and you can mic up your talent, and you can basically monitor that and have it recorded directly into your camera from a pretty far distance away. I think that these are good up to like about 40 meters or something like that, which is pretty far. Another thing that I absolutely love about these is the fact that these microphones do have internal recording of up to about 15.1 hours per microphone. So definitely if you do want to get into the DJI mic system, make sure that when you go to use them, that you also hit record on the actual device, so that way if your talent goes out of range or if there's interference or other things like that, that you'll be able to still have perfect and super clean audio, even if something weird happens. Another thing that I want to really emphasize here that is kind of unfortunate about them is that, especially with the Rode Lav Go microphones, if you don't have them situated properly, they can cause some buzzing with the transmitters, and that's a little bit of a pain. I do have a video though right up here that I'll leave a link to, that you can check out how I EQ to mitigate that and make your audio sound at least somewhat decent without this really high-pitched buzzing noise. But regardless, I do like these mics. They are a bit expensive at like $300 something for the pair, but I think it's well worth it if you are somebody who likes to do a lot of work out in the field. I think that these are fantastic. All right, so moving on to support. So the last thing that I think is absolutely critical for you guys to pay attention to is support for your camera rig. Now, if you do not have a sturdy or a solid support system for your camera rig, you could end up breaking your entire rig. Or in a less extreme example, you could not be able to get a nice smooth panning shot or a tilt shot, and you'd also not be able to maintain your camera in the angle that you need it for your videos. So like right here, this is a static video where I just have one fixed angle and you're looking straight at me. This is a slight downward tilt and it's a fairly heavy setup. If my tripod wasn't able to actually do this, then you'd see the camera angle slowly start to go down and eventually the whole thing would just fall over. Also, if you were using a really heavy setup on a tripod that wasn't built for it, you could end up collapsing all of the legs. Your camera could fall on the ground. It would just be a nightmare. And yeah, I mean, you really don't want to have jerky pans and jerky tilts when you're trying to do B-roll, or if you're trying to track your talent through a scene. This, like lighting, is something that's often overlooked by people. And I understand that a lot of people see this as something that's really boring, but it's not really something that you want to cheap out on, and it's definitely not something that you want to overlook. Now, I know there's a lot of flashy things and a lot of cool things that you can get into, like gimbals. I've showed the RS3 Pro on this channel quite a bit, and that is a support system that I absolutely love. But again, it's sort of a niche type of thing. You only want to use it in certain situations, and there's only certain situations where it makes sense. Same thing with sliders. You can also get sliders and you can have them motorized or not motorized, but again, they're only good for certain things, and if you're doing something like this, it can kind of be distracting to have too many things moving around at once. Sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it's a little bit much. You definitely want to have a really good support system though, either way. And you also don't need to break the bank. A lot of tripods can be really expensive, especially if you're looking at fluid head tripods. They can get up into the multi-thousands. I think the most expensive tripod head that I've ever seen is about $15,000, and legs can get up there too. So my recommendations for you guys are going to be on the low to mid of the mid in terms of price range, if that makes sense. So the first recommendation I'm going to give is going to be the YC Onion Pineta Peak Tripod. This has carbon fiber legs. Though they do offer an aluminum version for a little bit less, I don't think that it's really worth it, since that version lacks a couple of features like the ability to interchange your feet for spikes. The other thing is that version with the aluminum tripod is going to be much heavier, and it's not going to be able to support nearly as much weight as the carbon fiber version. So moving on, the carbon fiber tripod comes standard with a coconut bowl head, which can support up to 77 pounds, which is extremely heavy. So if you have a really heavy setup, a really expensive setup, you can feel confident using this tripod. Another thing that's also really great is that since it does support that 75mm bowl head, that's a standard size, so you can always upgrade to more expensive ones when you're ready, like the Satchler tripod heads or other things like that. And in addition, this has one-step height adjustment, so you just flip up the little levers on each of the sides of the tripod and you can raise or lower it to your content, then just lock the legs down and that's it. It's way easier than using all of the travel tripods or other types of tripods where you have to use those clips and you have to just clip like 3 or 4 sections. It can kind of be a little bit frustrating, especially if you want to get an in-between setting. And so all of this can be had for $6.99 for the legs and bowl head. Or if you want to, you can also add in their fluid head with a long Manfrotto plate included for $7.99. Now, this does sound a little bit expensive, and it is, but tripods are really worth the money, and since having to worry about your expensive camera setup when you step away for a moment is a position that you really don't want to be in, I would recommend investing enough money into your tripod where you can leave for a couple of minutes, come back, and you know that your tripod's not going anywhere. There's nothing worse than having to feel like your tripod is just going to fall over when it blows a little bit too hard with the wind, or other things like that. It's just definitely not a good look. And I know that you guys are maybe not necessarily in the position to purchase that tripod since it is a little bit expensive. It's not terrible, but it's a little bit expensive. And so I did want to give you guys a couple of lower budget options that you might be able to afford a little bit easier. So I have 2 recommendations here. One I recommend a little bit more than the other. So The first recommendation that I have is going to be the one that I am using right now, which is from Ulanzi, and that is going to be the Zero Y F38 travel tripod. So that is what is currently holding up my camera setup right now, and it has the optional threaded center column with the Ulanzi E28 F38 quick release fluid head tripod with a bubble level. Now, the tripod itself comes with a nice f38 ball head, which is pretty great for photography, but if you are into videography or you want to get some nice B-roll shots like pans or other things like that, this is not it. You don't want to use the ball head because it does have a nice smooth motion when you feel it, but if you actually go to use the video, like you'll see here, panning with this thing doesn't work out very well at all. It's definitely not what I would recommend. I would recommend buying the E12 head and getting that center column so you can mount it. But with that being said, if you do want to get this set up, for $330 you can get the tripod legs with the ball head and also that center column included for free. And if you pay $70 you can get the E12 head. So that is what I would recommend. And as far as the weight that this thing can hold, the head, which is going to be the weakest part of this, is able to hold comfortably up to 6.6 pounds. However, I've tried setups and this current setup is actually probably around 10 pounds and I've had no problems with it. So it will work. It's just that it's not necessarily what it's rated for. So take that with a grain of salt. But if you are a strictly video shooter, I would highly recommend away from this tripod and getting their newest addition to the travel tripod lineup, which is going to be the Ulanzi TT09 tripod. This features a handle that stores tons of helpful tools that you'd want to have on set as well. It also comes with a brand new fluid head installed straight away, so you don't need to buy anything else. It's also mounted on a ball head, which is great, so you can get vertical shots, you can get your standard landscape shots, and you can also really easily adjust it, so that is super nice. Additionally, it also comes in 3 versions, so you can buy it with a standard Arca plate, you can buy it with an F38 or the claw system, so whatever system you like, this has an option for you. And also, the ball head on this tripod is capable of handling up to 5 kilograms or 11 pounds, which is a lot better than the Zero Y tripod. So that's why I would recommend this one actually over that one. And the other thing that's really great over the F38 Zero Y tripod is that this one comes in at only $256. So honestly, this is my best recommendation for you guys. And now the last thing that I want to talk about, which is probably the thing that you guys have wanted to learn about for this entire video, is a look back on my first year on YouTube. So how much money did I make and how much money can you expect to make for yourself? Well, in short, in the past year, I've made just under $1,200. But the catch is that I've gotten a whopping $0.00 from YouTube themselves. So you may ask, well, how did you actually make the money then? Well, I've made a number of decisions to, again, treat this more like a business, and I've decided to go off and branch into a bunch of different ventures. So the first of which is going to be Amazon affiliates. Amazon has an affiliate program which you can apply to free. It's pretty easy to apply to and get accepted. And once you are accepted, you'll be able to earn a slight commission whenever somebody purchases something using one of your links. So in my case, in a typical month, I'll make maybe $20 from this. It's not a lot. A lot of you guys will click on my links, but you won't actually purchase anything. And so, you know, I only get commissions when you actually purchase something. So it's kind of a hit or miss type of thing. Sometimes you'll have a fast month where people are buying a whole bunch of stuff and you'll get like $100. Other times it's really slow and people will buy like maybe 1 or 2 things in the month and you'll get like $5 or $10. So it's not really a sustainable thing and it's not really consistent. So the next thing that I've also done is set up an account with ShareGrid. So this company is fantastic since they offer you gear insurance for anything that you choose to rent out. They also allow you to list anything that you may have sitting around for your YouTube setup for rental. I should note though that this is only a good idea if you live in a major city or you live near enough to one where it makes sense for people to travel. In my case, I'm about an hour to 40 minutes away from New York City on Long Island, so sometimes I get people from New York City renting my gear for shoots. Depending on the piece of equipment, I may make between $50 and $100 for a rental for a day or two. So this is pretty nice, but again, like I said, this only works if you have a nice proximity to some sort of big city like New York, or if you have a high quality catalog of gear for people to rent. Obviously, people are not going to want to rent a $20 cheap tripod that you bought on Amazon, or, you know, some kind of crappy camera from like 1990. So, you know, you have to be really careful with this. If you have stuff that's really good, that's what people are going to want to rent. And if you don't, then this probably won't work out so well for you. But you can always try it out, see if you can make some money here or there. It's definitely something that's pretty nice. But like I said, I think a lot of people really use this to get gear that would cost them thousands of dollars to purchase for themselves. So if you have that gear, great, use this. If you don't, still try it out. It couldn't hurt, but you might not get as many rentals as you might like. And another thing that I've been doing is working with the VROptician over the last year, and he's been a long-time supporter of the channel. He makes wonderful quality lenses made by Zeiss in Germany with options for blue blocking features as well, and blue blocking is fantastic. It doesn't hurt my eyes at all. I have had sensitivity to some blue blocking lenses in the past, and his are absolutely perfect. They don't hurt my eyes at all. And if you've seen my videos on the Nreal Airs, you can see right here that I have his lenses mounted up right here, which allow me to see perfectly as if these were made for me. And of course, it's my exact prescription, so it works perfectly. So this is fantastic. So I've also shown off on my channel before the lenses that I got made for the Valve Index. So again, these come in gorgeous little bags like this, and they have really nicely fabricated mounting system like this that goes right on your lens. And again, it's my prescription, so it allows me to use stuff like the Valve Index without actually needing my glasses. So this is definitely a lifesaver for any of you guys who are really into VR or augmented reality type products. I can't recommend the VROptician enough. They offer so many wonderful lenses for all of the popular VR and AR headsets. So if you want anything for your PlayStation VR, Meta Quest, HTC Vive, Valve Index, Nreal Air, anything really, they have something for you, and they're all extremely high quality, and they have pretty fast shipping. So I will leave links down below if you guys want to pick up anything from them. And if you do use my links, you'll also get about 5% off your order. So that'll save you a little bit of money, and it'll also go to support the channel a little bit. And so with my partnership with the VROptician, over the past year, I've made about $500. And I also have my website, which I try to sell artwork and other types of assets for creators. I'm planning on putting out a lot more products over the next months to help creators like you out. So definitely make sure to look out for an announcement on that when I finally get those things available. I'm going to be trying to release some LUTs as well as some sound packs and other things like that that'll really help you guys out. But the last thing that has helped me to make some money is doing photo and video shoots for people. So currently I've only been able to actually have one client that actually paid me, and so that I earned $100 from. I also did another video project, but I accepted a deferred payment and I still haven't been paid after a couple of months, so we'll see where that goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and appreciated the vulnerability as well as the realism. And I really want to make this extremely clear. When I started out my channel, I wanted to share my interest in photo, video, music, and gaming with the world. And it was never really my first goal to make money with it. But with that being said, these videos do take a significant amount of time as well as money to produce. So I really needed to be able to leverage the skills and gear that I've acquired in this venture and continue to hone my skills as well as generate some supplementary income, since again, YouTube does not support you directly until after you've reached 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, if I wanted to make any sort of living, I needed to figure out some way to monetize my channel without AdSense. And so I hope that this video showed you guys some of the ways that you can do this for yourself. And if you're looking to get into YouTube, I really hope that you take the advice in this video and that you run with it and do amazingly on your YouTube channel. I know that you can do it. But if you guys enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, definitely make sure to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. We're pretty close now, and I would honestly really appreciate it so much. Also, if you'd like, you can, of course, say thank you down below with a super thanks, and I will thank you personally, as I do with any of the support that you guys give to this channel. And also, I would love you guys to comment your thoughts down below, your experiences, anything like that down in the comment section below, and also share this video with anyone that you feel might be able to find some value out of these experiences. And I will see you guys in the next video.